As we enter year 5 of the Neil Brown era at West Virginia, one of the constants has been offensive line coach Matt Moore. And before the 2022 season started, there were a lot of West Virginia fans clamoring for Matt Moore to be fired. And I'll be honest, I was one of them. But after the 2022 season, we're still seeing fans wanting Matt Moore fired. A lot of West Virginia fans think he's one of the coaches that should be changed. Well, I'm here to tell you, folks, I no longer think that. I think Matt Moore should be kept on as the offensive line coach at West Virginia. I think he's doing a good job, and I have numbers to back up my claim. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and let me prove it to you. What is up, college sports fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Couz, and welcome into another edition of Couz's Corner. Pull that chair up and let me serve you up another shot of top-shelf college football content. On tap in today's episode of Couz's Corner, we're talking West Virginia's offensive line play in 2022 and why that proves Matt Moore should be kept on for the Mountaineers. So without further ado, let's dive right into the numbers. As you look at the slides here, the first slide is basically college football's best run games. Chart that it's a cluster chart, I guess you call it, that has all 130 or 131 FBS football teams. And when you look kind of right where, I don't know if you see the cursor on the screen, but you see where the big green M is for Marshall, right beside it is West Virginia. Now, what this measures, the further you go to the right, the better scheming and blocking that these teams had in the run game, okay? When you go up and down vertically, that measures yards after contact. So West Virginia, as you see, here's the horizontal line that helps you measure yards after contact. Anybody, obviously, going above that line is good, below it's bad. West Virginia's below it. So they were not great at yards after contact. However, they are to the right of the vertical line, which like I said, measures your blocking and your scheme. So West Virginia did okay there. Now, there's room for improvement, but I think it's mostly scheme-related. I don't think the scheme was as good as it could have been for West Virginia's run game last year. And here's why I tell you I think it's scheme and not blocking. West Virginia, all the way to the right, almost as far to the right as anybody. They're further to the right than any team in all of Power 5. What's that mean? That is a percentage of missed blocks they had on run plays. The further to the right you go, the lower the percentage. So West Virginia had fewer missed blocks in the run game than any team in all of Power 5. Now, they didn't have the best run game in all of Power 5. That belonged, I guess, to UCLA because they're all the way up here. And they're also further to the right. They're in the top right of the chart, which means they had the best run success rate, which is also measured with your scheme and your yards after contact. So West Virginia's two weaknesses, according to this, is their yards after contact by the running backs and the scheme. Now, I'm not too worried about the yards after contact by the running backs because we had a lot of young backs in our running back room at West Virginia. They're only going to get better. We saw a lot of really good things from those running backs. But there is room for improvement in yards after contact, as I'm sure Chad Scott's already told them. So, yes, they do need improving yards after contact, but I like the backs we have. And most of them, like I said, they all have another year of eligibility, at least one more year of eligibility. Some have multiple years. They're all going to improve. So I'm really excited about our running back core, our running back room. But I'm even more excited about our offensive line. See, I even had a voice squeak there. That's how excited I am. I'm more excited about our offensive line probably than any unit on this team, folks. And that right there shows you. And here's the numbers. I put numbers to this too. Or actually, I didn't put the numbers to this. I got to give credit here. Stats of War on Twitter. His name's Parker. He's a TCU fan. He's on the Purple Theory podcast. I've actually had him as a guest on my show. He's an analytical guy. He puts together his own statistical analysis of college football games. And I got all this information from his Twitter account. And I recommend you follow him on Twitter at StatsOWar, StatsOWar. But here's numbers to this. When you look at all Big 12 teams from 2022, percent of design rushes with a blown blocking assignment in 2022, West Virginia had the lowest number, 4.3%. 1.5% less than the next closest team with Kansas. So their front line, their offensive line, had less blown blocks than any team in the Big 12. in the running game. I mean, remarkable stats. Well, what about the pass game, Couz? Well, I'm going to tell you. I haven't seen any charts or graphs to show this, but when you look at the NCAA football stats from 2022, West Virginia was top 50. I think they were around 40th or 42nd in the country, but it's also pretty good, especially considering they had JT Daniels, who is not a mobile quarterback at all. So we had an immobile quarterback, and our offensive line still only gave up 20 sacks. I think that's pretty darn good. And they did even better in the run game. Now, let's look at the PFF grades. When you look at our top offensive performers from the 2022 season, 5 of the top 10 are offensive linemen. Zach Frazier, who, by the way, was first team all Big 12, 80.9 PFF grade. Wyatt Milam was third, 76 PFF grade. Both of those guys will probably be playing on Sundays. Both of those guys, oh, by the way, also were recruited by Neil Brown and Matt Moore. Fifth, James Gamitter, the offensive lineman, the left guard, had a 71.1 grade. Now, unfortunately, he retired from the game, so he won't be back in 2023. However, the guy who's replacing him, Tomas Rimac, happened to be 7th on the list as a redshirt freshman, folks. 70.3 PFF grade as a redshirt freshman for West Virginia last year at the left guard spot. Doug Nestor at number 8 with a 70.2 grade. He has one more year of eligibility remaining. Has not announced whether he's coming back or not, but if he does, we'll have 4 of those 5 guys coming back for the 2023 season. Now, the one weak spot on our offensive line was the right tackle spot. And that was the time there was shared with Jaquay Hubbard and Brandon Yates. Now, those guys were in the bottom 10 of offensive performers for the season. Jaquay Hubbard was the second worst offensive PFF grade at 52.1. Brandon Yates had the 6th worst PFF grade of all the offensive players at 59.5. But both of those guys have another year of eligibility. Both of them have another year in the weight room, another year of experience under their belt. So I really think they have a chance to be really good in 2023. So I think that right tackle spot will be better. And they're bringing in young guys that can push them for playing time. There's some freshmen that got redshirted that might have a shot at the job. So, don't forget those guys either. So when you look at the numbers, basically what it boils down to is this. Neil Brown and Matt Moore have recruited some good offensive linemen. Wyatt Milam, Tomas Rimac, Zach Frazier, Jaquay Hubbard, and Doug Nestor both transferred over from Power 5 schools to play for those guys. Brendan Yates was recruited by Dana Holgerson but stayed on when Neil took over and has been developed by Neil and Matt. And so, almost all of our offensive linemen have now been developed for at least a couple of years by Matt Moore. And the majority of them are doing really well individually. And they've done pretty decent as a unit as well based on that run blocking score that I showed you. And they will get even better in 2023, folks. So for those of you who are saying that Matt Moore needed to be fired, I hope I've changed your mind. If I haven't, that's your prerogative. I want to know your thoughts in the comment section. Please drop them below. That helps out my channel, helps out the YouTube algorithm. You know what else helps the YouTube algorithm? Hitting the thumbs up button. If you like this video. The last I checked, I was only 9 subscribers away from 4,500. I wish it was 5,000. I was only 9 subscribers away from 4,500. So please hit that subscribe button. Help me get to 4,500 on the way to 5,000. If you haven't done that yet, you can hit the notification bell to be notified of future uploads and future live streams. If you want to support me financially, folks, you can join Couz's Corner, become a member. One of the perks, I have a very special guest coming on my show next week. If you want to send questions to that guest, you have a chance to do that if you're a channel member. I left the guest's name in the community tab for channel members. For the Mountaineer Maniac members, I'll leave it for the Country Roads level members later. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag on who my guest is going to be just yet until I make sure I nail it down on the schedule. But I do have a special guest who I think you're going to be excited about next week, and I'm allowing channel members to ask questions. Ladies and gentlemen, look on your screen. West Virginia now has the custom NIL jerseys available through Fanatics. You click the link at the top of my description box right now. Get you one of these custom jerseys with your favorite player's name and number, your favorite West Virginia player's name and number. And, oh, by the way, that player will make a percentage of the profits towards NIL. And you'll also be supporting me, your good buddy Couz here on Couz's Corner, if you use that link at the top of my description box. So you'll be supporting your favorite player for West Virginia, You'll be supporting your good buddy Couz here on Couz's Corner, and you'll also get you a really cool custom jersey to wear to Mountaineer games, to wear to your tailgates, your cookouts, your family reunions, to show off your Mountaineer pride. So check that out. You can also check out my own merch store. Link to that is also in the description box, and you can click a photo below. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate you tuning into this video. I appreciate your support. And until the next episode, Q Country Roads. West Virginia.